Hi, welcome to Tone Print Tuesday. Don't worry, this is just a funky name that I can put on a hashtag to separate these videos from the other ones. You know the format. We're pretty much just going to go into the Tone Print editor and I'm going to show you how I create a specific tone print for a specific function. In this case, I'm sorry, I'm a bit crap with this. I tried to find the original thread where someone asked me how to create this tone print. At the time, I know I responded, but I didn't note the name. I didn't write it down anywhere. So I'm really sorry. This is also for you. So what we are going to try and do is create a reverb tone print for the Hall of Fame, specifically for the Plethora and the Hall of Fame 2X4, the big pedal. We are going to try and create a tone print that will be a two-function tone print. So you're going to be able to use a reverb as your typical utilitarian reverb, like that little room or hole that just gives you some body to the guitar. And we're going to use the expression pedal to bring in a shimmer effect. So that way, instead of having to use two slots on the Plethora, you can just put everything on one slot and use your expression pedal to bring up the character reverb. So a little bit of housekeeping first, and if the framing is slightly different, it's because my camera fell off. Things that happen when you're filming. Anyway, housekeeping. I've got guitar. If you haven't seen the video where I talk about my first impressions about this guitar, you definitely should go and watch that up there. It's the new Harley Benton Aeolus semi-hollow. As I say in the video, I'm not being paid to say that this guitar is awesome, but it is. Second bit of housekeeping, I've got an expression pedal under my desk, and you're not going to see it because you don't want to look under my desk, trust me, you don't. But you're going to be able to see me when I use it, because here you go. I'm touching the expression pedal, and as you can see, the little donut on screen is changing between heel down and toe down. Okay, I also have a Plethora on my desk, and again, you don't want to look on my desk, and you can see me mashing because of the little donut traveling on the screen. As I mentioned before, this tone print will need to be done in such a way that will allow us to have a regular reverb and add some shimmer to it. As you know, or if you don't, you should, and here's another video for you. You can't simply add shimmer into a reverb effect. You have to start with a shimmer and remove it if you don't want it. I have gone through a few of the shimmer effects on the templates folder for the Plethora, and I came across the Shimmy Jimmy, which I liked. The thing is, the effect is programmed almost the opposite way of what we want it to do. Because, as you remember, the initial idea is to have a reverb that you can close off the expression pedal and use it as a normal reverb, and open the expression pedal and bring in the shimmer. If you didn't know that that's what I was planning on doing, now you do. I'm just going to show you the Shimmy Jimmy as it is. On the expression pedal, if I bring it heel down, no reverb. If I go toe down, all the reverb. And somewhere in the middle you'll be able to modulate the level of the effect. Another quick bit of house cleaning. I'm using a semi-hollow guitar. I'm going to try not to talk at the same time as I'm playing, but if I need to make sure that you hear only what the guitar is recording, I will shut down my microphone, as I try to do all the time, so bear with me if I miss it sometimes. Anyway, I'm going to show you the Shimmy Jimmy again, this time with the mash pedal. So with the expression pedal toe down, as you can see by the donut, and I'm going to change to the mash window and show it to you again. So as you could hear by that, when I mash, the shimmer effect comes in. The thing is, this is not what we're looking for. We're looking for a shimmer effect that comes in on the expression pedal, but with the reverb already there. So I'm going to swap to the tone print that I've already prepared today. Yeah, I've done my homework, and I'm going to do a very quick demo of how it works, and then I'll explain to you what I did. This is the expression pedal again. I'm going to go full heel down. as you can hear, the reverb is there. So now I'm going to go toe down. And this brings in the shimmer effect. I'm going to leave it on toe down, and I'm going to mash so that you can see what the mash is doing. Okay, so we have a lot more shimmer when I mash. So how did I achieve this? Actually, let's start by talking about the mapping of the parameters. It's probably the quickest way of explaining what's going on. So on my expression pedal, as you can see, I'm dealing essentially with the router root or whatever octaver output. This is this parameter here that you can see on the router tab. So I'm going between minus 100 dB when I close the pedal and minus 3 when I open it. The reason for this minus 3 is that I don't really want it to go to full 0 because I don't want it to be saturating or clipping or just being way too obnoxious. So I'm stopping it at minus 3. The other parameter I'm controlling on my expression pedal is the modulation mix. And what this does, and here you can obviously tweak as much as you want. Let me just tell you, the modulation mix can be found on the modulation tab. It's this parameter here. So for me, I'm varying it between 35 on heel down and 90% on toe down. So what I'm doing there, and I didn't touch the parameters from the Jimmy thing, so sorry, Dave. I didn't touch parameters from the Shimmy Jimmy, so they are exactly the same as you will find on the Shimmy Jimmy tone print. The only thing I did was map the modulation mix to the expression pedal. What this is doing is, when I'm running a simple reverb, i.e. without the shimmer, i.e. heel down, I have just a touch of modulation on the signal. You can hear this whoosh, this slight swoosh on the reverb tail. Okay, but when I bring in the shimmer, I want it to modulate and go whoosh all the way, right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm using my expression pedal to start modulating more of the shimmer than of the reverb. Let's go to the mash. On the mash thing, I'm controlling the reverb decay. And why am I doing this? Because when you increase the decay of a reverb, you get more shimmer. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to go full toe down, and I'm going to come to the reverb tab so I can show you. I'm roughly at 3 seconds reverb time. I'm not going to change anything else other than the decay time. So listen to this. Some shimmer. Okay. And as I start bringing this up, you get more reverb, but you also get more shimmer, a lot more shimmer. So I want to have this as my regular reverb. I want to have this as my slight shimmer reverb, but I also want to have the option of, without having to bend down and adjust anything, increasing my shimmer due to the increase of the decay time. And I can do that by mapping the reverb decay onto the mash. So now I'm going to play, again, I'm fully toe down, as you can see here on the donut. So I'm toe down, okay. And now on the mash, see, as I increase the mash pressure, I get more decay on the reverb. You can still hear the guitar, and you hear more shimmer. So, normal circumstance, no mash, you get this, which is a nice shimmer. But if you mash, you get all of that. The other parameters that I have mapped to the mash mapping are the output high cut frequency, and this is from the octaver tab. And I'm doing that here, because as you increase the decay time, as your shimmer starts building up, if you don't cut down on the high cut frequency a bit, so if you don't drop off the higher frequencies, it gets a bit aggressive. You might need to tweak this to your own system. In my case, I find it relatively sufficient to cut it down from 8 kilohertz to 2.24 as I'm mashing, so that's all good. And the third parameter I'm doing is the router effects level. So this way I can have my effects level at -10 or -12, which is usually where I carry my reverbs, depending on the effect that I want, but -10, -12 is nice, depending on the size. And I can simply use the mash to swell it, to have more reverb, to have more of everything. And this is the essence of this tone print, is being able to map the output level of the octaver to the expression pedal, and mapping the decay of the reverb to the mash. Let's just take a very quick look through the rest of the tone print so you can see some of the stuff that I've also changed. The pre-delay, this is a bit of a season to taste thing. If you have it at 0, let me show you this. I've shown you this in the other video about the Hall of Fame, but I'm going to go through this again. If you have the pre-delay at 0, your reverb tail follows your dry sound. If you increase the pre-delay, and I'm going to go straight to maximum, you're going to hear your dry sound followed by the reverb. So, see? Okay. I'm going to keep this one relatively low, preferably below 50 milliseconds, but relatively close to it. The reason being, if you have this under 50 milliseconds, let's try 40, you hear some body to the sound. It feels like a space, but you don't hear the echo or that time delay between hitting the note and the reverb tail. Whereas if you are above 50, you hear the obviously the higher you go, the easier it is to distinguish. But if you keep it up to 50, it's still there. Obviously you can play rhythmically with this, like, let me try this. You can do this, but for a generic sound, I would rather keep this around 40 somethings up to 50. Pre-delay long doesn't matter. Diffusion, I want this to be relatively stereoized if I'm working on with a stereo effect, which is what I'm doing now. So I'm going to keep it at 29. I want a bit of low-end bloom on my reverb, so I'm gonna give it just a bit of low color, and I want my high frequencies to come down just like they would on a regular room with some curtains or chairs or something. Your high frequencies will die a lot quicker than the rest of the sound. In this case, I kind of want them to stay there for a bit, but still be quicker to drop. You can, if you want, also turn on this modulation. It's a very slow, very... It's a very slow and subtle modulation that sometimes just helps biggin up and fatten up the sound of the reverb, so I'm gonna leave it there. As I said, modulation tab, the only thing I'm changing is the modulation mix. And on the octaver, compared to the Shimmy Jimmy, I've also adjusted some of these parameters, so you can go and compare them yourselves, or just grab a screenshot of this and do it yourself according to mine, or just play around and see what you can find. I'm going to throw the screenshots up on my Ko-fi page. If you haven't seen it before, you will be able to find the screenshots on my gallery at some point. I cannot promise that it's going to be up today, but I will try to get them there as quickly as you can. No, as quickly as I can. I'm sorry, it's late. While you're there, if you want to help support the channel just like everybody on this list did, please by all means buy me a coffee, and that will keep the lights on. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the first official episode of Tone Print Tuesday. I hope to see you next week. Until then, have fun.